Imagine swimming in the open ocean and suddenly realizing the shadow beneath you isn't a passing whale, it's Megalodon. This shark didn't just rule the seas after the dinosaurs, it defined what it meant to be an apex predator. At its largest, Megalodon stretched an estimated 50 to 60 feet long, 3 times the size of a modern great white. Its jaws were so massive they could open wide enough to swallow 2 grown adults side by side, and inside were nearly 300 serrated teeth, each one built to shear through flesh and bone like industrial blades. Now, scientists debate the exact numbers, but estimates place Megalodon's bite force at well over 30,000 pounds per square inch. For context, that's 10 times stronger than a lion, and strong enough to crush a car's steel frame as if it were a soda can. Megalodon didn't just bite prey, it dismantled it. Fossil evidence from whale bones shows deep, clean cuts, suggesting this shark could cripple its target in a single strike before circling back for the kill. Its menu? Mostly whales. During the Miocene and Pliocene, oceans were full of medium-sized baleen whales, and Megalodon was perfectly designed to hunt them. It likely ambushed from below, slamming prey with enough force to shatter ribs or sever a spine in one explosive lunge. Imagine the silence of the ocean, broken only by the impact of 70 tons of predator striking from the deep. But nothing lasts forever. As the climate cooled and ice ages advanced, the distribution of whales shifted. Prey became scarcer, and smaller, faster shark species outcompeted the giant. Slowly, the ocean's ultimate monster faded from existence. But the idea lingers. If you were in those waters millions of years ago, you'd never feel safe. Now trade the open ocean for a steaming prehistoric swamp. The air is heavy, the plants crowd around you, and the water looks still. Until it moves. That's no log drifting by. That's Titanoboa, the largest snake ever known. Titanoboa stretched nearly 50 feet long and weighed over a ton. To put that in perspective, picture a snake longer than a school bus, as thick around as an oil drum, sliding silently through murky water. Unlike modern pythons or anacondas, which are already impressive predators, Titanoboa dwarfed them in every way. Its power came not from venom, but from muscle. When it struck, Titanoboa coiled its massive body around prey and squeezed. Scientists estimate the pressure it could exert was equivalent to a crushing force of hundreds of pounds per square inch, enough to stop a crocodile's heart or shatter the shell of a giant prehistoric turtle. Fossil evidence from the Cerrejón coal mines in Colombia, where Titanoboa's remains were discovered, even shows it likely fed on crocodilian relatives. But Titanoboa wasn't just a land hunter. Its body structure suggests it thrived in water, using buoyancy to move its incredible bulk with more ease. Picture the ambush, a ripple on the surface, a sudden surge, and then nothing but silence as the swamp swallowed another victim whole. So why don't snakes still grow this large? The answer lies in climate. Titanoboa lived about 60 million years ago when Earth's tropics were far hotter than today. That extreme warmth gave reptiles the environment they needed to reach colossal sizes. As global temperatures cooled, the swamps shrank, and so did the snakes. Still, imagine standing at the edge of that swamp, one wrong step, and you wouldn't have time to scream before 50 feet of prehistoric muscle coiled around you. Titanoboa wasn't just a snake, it was the nightmare of the rainforest. Now step even further back in time, over 300 million years ago, into the Carboniferous forests. The air is thick with oxygen, giant ferns tower overhead, and the ground feels alive. Suddenly, the undergrowth shifts, and what looks like a fallen log begins to move. That's no branch, that's Arthropleura. This prehistoric arthropod was a distant relative of today's millipedes, but it was no harmless garden crawler. Arthropleura stretched up to 8 feet long, with a body wider than your shoulders. Its armor-plated segments clattered as it slid across the forest floor, each segment moving in an unnerving ripple of motion. Imagine the sound of countless legs scraping against leaf litter as the massive invertebrate made its way through the shadows. Despite its fearsome size, scientists believe Arthropleura wasn't a predator. Fossil evidence suggests it was likely an herbivorous animal, feeding on decaying plant matter, leaves, and other forest debris. But size itself can inspire terror. even if it didn't hunt, the sight of an armored insectoid longer than most humans would be enough to send anyone running. So, how did it grow so big? The answer lies in the atmosphere. During the Carboniferous, oxygen levels were much higher than today, about 35% compared to our 21%. That abundance of oxygen allowed arthropods to develop far beyond the limits of modern insects and millipedes, whose breathing systems can't support massive bodies in today's thinner air. But when oxygen levels dropped at the end of the Carboniferous, Arthropleura's advantage disappeared. Combined with changes in plant life and shifting climates, the giant millipede relative vanished. Still, picture a forest floor alive with an armored crawler as long as a crocodile. It might not have been a hunter, but Arthropleura proves that sometimes size alone is enough to make nature terrifying. Fast forward to about 45 million years ago, and the forests and coastlines of Eurasia held a predator unlike anything you've ever seen. At first glance, Andrewsarchus might remind you of a wolf, but the resemblance ends quickly. Its skull alone stretched nearly 3 feet long, packed with thick, crushing teeth. Now imagine that skull attached to a body more than 13 feet long and weighing close to a ton. You weren't looking at a wolf, you were looking at one of the most fearsome mammals to ever walk the earth. The truth is, Andrewsarchus is mostly known for its massive skull, so scientists piece together its lifestyle from comparisons with related species. But that skull leaves little doubt. This animal could bite through bone and shell with ease. Its teeth weren't just sharp, they were deep-rooted and powerful, perfect for smashing open carcasses or breaking into the armored bodies of turtles and other prey. What's fascinating is that Andrewsarchus wasn't necessarily a pure predator. Some paleontologists suggest it may have been omnivorous, scavenging carcasses, eating plants, or raiding nests when the opportunity arose. But whether it hunted directly or simply took what it wanted, its presence on the landscape meant danger. If you saw it charging across a floodplain, survival was not likely. Andrewsarchus lived during the Eocene, a period when mammals were diversifying and filling the void left after the dinosaurs. On open coasts and plains, speed and power decided who ruled, and Andrewsarchus fit the role perfectly. But as ecosystems shifted and competitors evolved, its time came to an end. Still, imagine a mammal larger than any living predator today, with a skull designed like a weapon. Andrewsarchus proves that once dinosaurs were gone, mammals wasted no time creating monsters of their own. Step into South America roughly 60 million years ago, and you'd quickly realize that top predator status didn't belong to mammals, it belonged to birds. But not the kind you know. These were Forus rhahacidae, better known as terror birds, and they earned the name. Some species stood as tall as 10 feet, towering over most humans, with long, muscular legs built for speed. Unlike modern ostriches, which run to escape danger, terror birds ran to chase it down. Their hooked beaks were their main weapon, sharp, curved, and strong enough to act like a hatchet. One well-aimed strike could stun a prey, while repeated blows could finish the kill. Fossil reconstruction suggests they used their beaks almost like pickaxes, slamming downward with frightening precision. These birds thrived in South America when it was isolated from other continents. In a land without big mammalian predators, they dominated the food chain. Some species may have reached speeds of 30 to 40 miles per hour over short distances, easily outrunning most prey. Once they caught up, there was no escape. Lightweight mammals, reptiles, and even other birds could all become a meal. But as time passed, land bridges formed and mammals from North America began moving south. Big cats, canids, and other carnivores slowly pushed the terror birds out of their niche. By about 2 million years ago, their reign ended. But imagine standing in open scrubland and seeing a bird taller than you sprinting straight towards you with its head lowered and beak poised to strike. The sound of pounding footsteps, the rush of feathers, and the shadow closing in would make even the bravest freeze. The terror birds prove that after dinosaurs, flightless giants with hooked beaks took over the role of nature's sprinting nightmare.